Welcome to NBA Today.
Breaking news this morning from the NBA, crushing news for Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks. He will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL in his left knee. Irving suffered the injury in the first quarter of last night's loss to the Kings, a huge blow to Dallas, who had been relying so heavily on him this season. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is with us now. Shams, first, can you give us the details on Kyrie at this point?
Janae, so Kyrie Irving underwent testing on that knee last night. Results showed a torn ACL. He is out for the season. I'm told the good news, though, is that the damage was to the ACL, nothing to the meniscus, no other ligament damage. But now Kyrie Irving is looking toward surgery, rehab, recovery. It's crushing for him. You saw tears in his eyes as he shot free throws after the torn ACL. The emotion of the injury was also visible back in the locker room area afterward when he went to the back, when Anthony Davis assisted him to the back. And what we've seen from Kyrie Irving this year is a mission to reclaim his spot as an upper echelon NBA player. He went to his 9th All-Star game in February. He was competing for an All-NBA spot as well, and he had played the most minutes in the NBA over the last month of this season, almost 40 minutes a night, and he became this season, for the 5th time, 20 points per game at least, 40% from three-point range, and 90% from the foul line. The 5th time he's done that in his career, only next to Stephen Curry.
Yeah, he's had a tremendous season thus far, and injuries, though, have really decimated the Mavs roster. How devastated are the Mavs right now?
Janae, it's any word you can think of. Devastated, they're crushed, they're crippled. All season long, they've just been dealing with injuries. Even when they had Luka Doncic, he had a bad calf strain. He missed about a month and a half in total. But this year, even right now, you have Anthony Davis out, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively II, Caleb Martin, PJ Washington's missed time. So this has been a revolving door of injuries. And Anthony Davis in particular, he had been dealing with an adductor strain since he suffered in his first game as a Maverick. It's a soft tissue injury. From my understanding, he had intended eventually to make a comeback, but right now, Anthony Davis, his representation, they're going to have to be cautious. You look at the risk reward of potentially him coming back with a soft tissue issue with Kyrie Irving out, the significant injury with Kyrie Irving and him out. For all intents and purposes right now, Chene, the Mavericks season is essentially over. And for Anthony Davis's perspective, how rewarding could it be to really bring him back when right now he has not been cleared to advance much in his recovery process?
Yeah, it seems like the decision is trying to be made whether or not we see AD, and maybe they just punt towards next year. I know we talk about injury bugs. This has been like an injury barrage for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll talk to you later in the show. Thank you so much for the information, Shams. Now, last night, before the news even broke, man, we had the eye test. We knew it was serious, and Kyrie's former teammate LeBron James posted this: prayers up to Kai. Now, Luka Doncic also posted to his Instagram as well, quote, "You will come back strong, mi hermano," which means my brother. Let's bring in the rest of our panel today: Kendrick Perkins, Anscape senior writer David Dennis Jr., and of course our front office insider Bobby Marks. All right, guys, before we go on, let's take a look back at how this all unfortunately went down. When we see this game, I know a lot of people will see and say, oh, you know, obviously you see the outcome of the Kings win, but more importantly, this is something that really changes their scopes for the playoffs, starting with the Mavs and the Kings. Kyrie drives, and there you see it. He goes down hard. It's the left knee. Kyrie, there it is. Some motion, some pain.
You could tell right away, right off the bat, as soon as he did not get up. And this is probably one of the great moments that we've seen this year.
Yeah.
What we'll see as far as him going out and making those 2 free throws.
So you see those free throws, it reminds you a little bit of Kobe after the Achilles, Klay after an ACL, the fans obviously giving him love and support as he sunk both free throws. But later on, more bad news for Dallas. On this play, you see right there, Jaden Hardy drives, and he goes down hard.
They are running out of bodies.
They are.
They're running out of bodies, and there's nothing much they can do about this right now.
Yeah, he would leave the game as well. It was a miserable day for the Mavs on Monday as they lost to the Sacramento Kings. Now entering play Monday, Kyrie had been leading the league in minutes per game since January 17th at 38.7 a game. He also carried a heavy scoring burden in this time, scoring the 6th most points per game. And it's been a real rough stretch in Dallas. First, the blowback from their fan base after trading away their franchise player, Luka Doncic. Then Anthony Davis goes down with an injury during his debut as a Mav, and he's still out. And now Kyrie, he's done for the season. So, Perk, where do the Mavs go from here?
Up. That's the only way they can go up. This is a minor setback for a major come up. And look, if I'm the Mavs, I rest Anthony Davis. But think about it. A lot of people are like, oh man, we don't have nothing to look forward to. And that's a lie. When it comes down to ACL injuries, right, this is not the 1990s. Right, the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar company. They have the best doctors. They have the best technology. And you're talking about a guy in Kyrie Irving that's going to put 100% into his rehab and getting back on the floor. I'm not worried about Kyrie. I know his mentality. Anthony Davis, he's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder. We saw it before he got injured, how he was playing like he had something to prove. The Mavs are going to be just fine. Again, the pressure is on them in the next 2 to 3 years to actually go out there and win a championship.
Perk, I share your hope and optimism that Kyrie will bounce back, but I cannot help but think that the indelible, lasting, tragic image of the Dallas Mavericks post the Luka Doncic trade is Anthony Davis in street clothes carrying a hobbling Kyrie Irving off to end his season with a torn ACL. This is after Dallas said that the major reason that they were trading Luka Doncic was because of health concerns. And now you have the two big stars out probably for the rest of the season. And some of this was avoidable. Dallas has to eat the fact that they have been playing Kyrie Irving, who has been injury prone, more minutes than anybody else in the league at age 32. They have to hold that loss and think about what they have done. And my heart goes out to Kyrie because he bounced back from being essentially a pariah by the time that he was traded to Dallas. The Nets did not want him. His reputation was in the mud. And he worked himself back up to being a number 2 option on an NBA Finals team. And now he was playing, basically to end his season because his star has been traded. And now you're injured for the rest of the season. And a lot of that is institutional failure by that Mavericks team because Kyrie and that team deserve better than how this ended up.
Yeah, and what Perk said, there's good news. We started the segment hearing from Shams Charania saying hopefully, and this is what they're thinking, that it's solely the ACL, which is actually good because sometimes when you have these types of injuries, it can affect other ligaments and other structures. So at least hopefully you think that the recovery time is maybe in the 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months range. But obviously, we're going to look at an offseason that has huge implications. What are those?
Well, there's a couple things here. Certainly, the likelihood is that they're going to have a lottery pick here. And as we saw a few years ago, it worked out for them with Derek Lively. They're 3 games ahead of Phoenix, 4 games ahead of Portland. One of those teams likely will probably catch them. I think tonight the big question is going to be what happens with Kyrie Irving. He's got a $43 million player option, certainly has the luxury to opt in and to maybe extend off that number, but he's 30. He's going to be 33 in 2 weeks. It's the same knee from 2015 when he hurt it in the NBA Finals here. And it's a significant risk, certainly for the Mavericks, as far as committing significant money long-term here. They've got 12 players under contract, and the finances moving forward are certainly high. The good news is that, as I said, they can kind of regroup a little bit with that lottery pick.
Yeah, and you were hoping that they would make a push up the standings because the Kyrie injury comes as the Mavs sit at 10th in the West, 3.5 games ahead of the Suns for the 10th seed, and then 6 through 9 are separated by just a half game. Welcome to NBA Today as we continue to cover the breaking news out of Dallas. Kyrie Irving's season is over after suffering a torn ACL in the first quarter of Monday's game against the Kings. Irving, who made his 9th NBA All-Star team in February, is the only NBA player this season averaging at least 20 points, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is with us now. And Shams, first, can you detail us what is happening with Kyrie right now at this point?
Sinead, right now, Kyrie Irving's full focus is on surgery plan, rehab plan, recovery plan. He had testing late last night that showed a torn ACL, out for the season. The good news that the Mavericks and Kyrie Irving have right now is that the damage in that left knee was limited to that torn ACL. Nothing with the meniscus, nothing else with any other ligament in that knee. But of course, it is crushing for him. He was on pace for a potential All-NBA season. We saw the tears in his eyes as he was shooting free throws after that torn ACL before he was taken off the court with Anthony Davis. And even in the back area by the locker room, I'm told he was very emotional. We saw Kyrie Irving on a mission this season to really reclaim his spot in the upper echelon of the league, and now he is gone. He is out for the season with a torn ACL.
So what you're saying is that this injury is strictly, at least the good news there, just his ACL. Obviously, this is devastating for the Dallas Mavericks. What does this mean specifically for Anthony Davis?
Shanae, it is very possible that that one game we saw Anthony Davis play in February after the trade with the Lakers for Luka Doncic, that might be the only game we see him play with the Mavericks this season. I'm told Anthony Davis, his representation, they're going to huddle up and figure out exactly how to move forward because he is still dealing with an adductor strain. It is a soft tissue injury. He had intended to make a return at some point, maybe late in this season, but now you have to take a cautious approach and see the risk reward, the risk perspective on coming back, especially with Kyrie Irving now out. Is this season just a lost year? And for all intents and purposes, when you think about championship, Shanae, you need Kyrie Irving to win a championship. And that's what the Mavericks were playing for. Without him, what are the risks and the rewards? And that's what both sides are going to weigh. But this could be the last we've seen of Anthony Davis.
The last potentially we've seen of Anthony Davis, and of course Kyrie Irving maybe moving towards their focus point being the start of next year. Thank you so much, Shams, for stopping by. We'll talk to you a little bit later in the show. Now, last night before the news even broke, I mean, we saw all the love that was happening on social media. Luka Doncic calling him mi hermano, LeBron James saying prayers up for you. We saw those posts. But guys, what's your immediate reaction to Kyrie Irving, starting with you, Perk, being out for the rest of the season?
Well, I was pissed. I was pissed for Kyrie because the level of basketball that he was playing at a very, very high level. But on the flip side, I thought about it and I was like, he's going to be okay, right? And again, I'm going to harp on it. An ACL injury is not what it was 30, 40 years ago, right? The technology, the doctors, he will recover. Hell, I recovered at 6'10", 285 in 6 months. I know Kyrie can. You know, smaller guy, smaller body frame. He's going to put in the work this offseason, and the beautiful part about it is that he actually have time to do it. So I'm looking at the Mavs to regroup this offseason, get both of their franchise guys and Kyrie and AD healthy, and start the season next year, look to put the world on notice.
And Perk, you mentioned the offseason. Bobby, you're so great at breaking down the potential of that area. What's on the future? What's on the horizon for Dallas?
Well, he's got a $43 million player option that he has to decide on. Janae, I know this is a day after effect, and this is a cold, calculated business. It's a business,
it
right?
is.
The hardest thing when you go with an injury here is, and what teams get penalized for, is when you reward a player what they've done in the past and not with the future. Kyrie Irving's going to be 33 years old in a few weeks. This is the same knee he injured back in 2015. I said it 2 weeks ago. He had the most leverage of any potential free agent here. Now you've got to kind of figure out where there's middle ground as far as trying to get that next deal.
Yeah, and DDJ, I know you're speaking from the fan vantage point. You know, this is a team and a fan base that truly love Luka Doncic. Then there's a seismic trade. Anthony Davis plays, and then he's out, and now Kyrie is out for the rest of the season. How should Dallas be feeling?
I honestly have been racking my brain all day to think about a worse 6-week stretch for any franchise in all the sports than what Dallas Mavericks have gone through, and I can't think of one. Like, if the beginning of this season, you would think that at this point in the season that it would be Kyrie and Luka working towards getting back to an NBA Finals. Now, Luka's gone. Kyrie is gone. The guy you traded Luka for is probably out for the season. You are a mass unit on that front line, and now you have to hope that these guys can come back from injury a year older and make this thing work. I mean, you've got to be devastated if you're the Dallas fans. But shout out to them, though, for taking that time and chanting MVP for Kyrie and recognizing the greatness that he brought to them over these last couple of years.
Yeah, going out there and knocking down those 2 free throws with tears, going down his eyes, saying, thank you, God.
Yeah.
I mean, we all had goosebumps, and I'm glad that the arena showed him love. Now, last night before the news even broke, speaking of love, I mean, by the eye test, we all were devastated, and Kyrie's former teammate, LeBron James, posted this: prayers sent up to Kai.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.